Hello and welcome. I am Gimba Umar. Tonight, the Nigerian army launches special operation to protect lives and put an end to the destruction of oil and gas facilities in the Niger Delta. President Buhari addresses the 6th Tokyo International Conference on African Development in Nairobi, Kenya, promises full rehabilitation of internally displaced persons in the northeast. Flood sacks residents of some communities in Kaduna State, over 300 homes taken over by water. And Japan pledges $30 billion in public and private support for infrastructure development in Africa.
And in business news tonight, investors maintain a cautious outlook at Nigeria's equities market after a bearish week leading to a 0.72% drop in the key index.
And in sports news, Samson Siasia blasts Nigeria Football Federation over ill treatment and resigns from his position as Dream Team 6 coach.
We'll begin tonight with efforts by the Nigerian army to maintain the highest level of security in the Niger Delta, even as talks are said to be ongoing to resolve the issues of militancy in the region. To this end, the army has formally launched a new military exercise, codenamed Exercise Crocodile Smile, with a mandate to provide adequate security for the residents as well as critical national economic assets in the region. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, while addressing troops at the event, urged them to respect the right of law-abiding citizens in their areas of operation.
How to tackle the problems of insecurity and economic sabotage which are caused by the activities of militant groups in the Niger Delta region has been one of the most difficult challenges facing the federal government and its security agencies. While the government continues to search for solutions to these problems, the Nigerian army is also stepping up efforts geared towards effectively carrying out its security functions in the region. As part of that effort, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, is here at the waterside jetty in Sapele Delta State, South Nigeria, to flag off a new military exercise by the Nigerian Army, codenamed Exercise Crocodile Smile. The Army Chief first briefs the troops, reminding them of the need to always abide by the rules of engagement.
It is an exercise an operation. You must observe the rules of engagement to the letter. You know there are several communities along the creeks. You must protect them. You must ensure that they are in safety. But if you have any encounter with these criminals, you must clear their doubts. Is that clear?
He then reads the Riot Act to those engaged in sabotaging the nation's critical economic infrastructures to either stop or get ready to face what is to follow.
We must get our economy back, and we must get these criminals off the various creeks and the various key points and vulnerable points within this region.
Going forward, the Chief of Army Staff assured all the officers and men that will take part in this exercise that everything necessary will be done to support them until victory is achieved.
Reintegrating over 2 million internally displaced persons who are victims of Boko Haram insurgents in the northeast may be a tough task. But President Muhammadu Buhari appears set to tackle the challenge head-on. Speaking at the opening of the 6th Tokyo International Conference on African Development, TICAD, holding in Nairobi, Kenya, President Buhari says that since life has started returning to normal, where the IDPs are displaced, it is important for his administration to reunite them with their families. President Muhammadu Buhari promises that the federal government will ensure full rehabilitation of the displaced persons and effectively combat threats of terrorism in the country. He goes on to acknowledge Japan's assistance through UNICEF and other development partners for their support towards the rehabilitation of the victims of Boko Haram and improving the lives of IDPs in the country. The two-day summit with the theme Advancing Africa's Sustainable Development Agenda, TICAD Partnership for Prosperity, is being held outside of Japan for the first time since its inception in 1993. Reports of acute malnutrition in the northeast of Nigeria as part of the fallout of the years of insurgency in the area have been on the increase in recent times. Now, the latest is from the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, which has warned of worsening conditions of the children in the region and around the Lake Chad Trough. The UN agency explains that of the 475,000 deemed at risk, 49,000 in Borno State will die this year if they do not receive treatment. Well, joining me from our Abuja studios to shed light on the matter is the Chief of Nutrition Section of UNICEF, Mr. Arjan Dewat. I want to thank you so much indeed for coming on the news at 10 at this time. Let's begin with the numbers that we have recorded by your agency. 49,000 persons, according to you, will die by the end of this year, 2016. What kind of food aid do they need to prevent this death?
Yes, thank you very much. We talk about 240,000 children who are severely malnourished. Severely malnourished here means, I call it often skin over bone. These children are so severely malnourished that if nothing has been done, they're at a very high risk of dying. We estimate that about 1 in 5 of these children will die if they don't receive the special support that they need. And that's how we got to the 49,000, which, by the way, is 128 children per day. It is 5 children every hour dying if nothing is being done. These children do not need just normal food aid. They are already so advanced they actually need treatment of their condition. And there's a very specialized product we need for that. It's called ready-to-use therapeutic food. And it's really a very specialized product for the treatment of severe acute malnutrition. Above these numbers, we also have a group of almost 250,000 of children in Borno who are moderately malnourished. And those children also need nutritious foods. In many cases, we know that there is some food aid ongoing, but this food is often not suitable for the children. Often it's got rice, it's thin porridge, but children at a very young age, and especially when they're also moderately malnourished, they need more nutrient-rich food with micronutrients, with vitamins and minerals. So we have to take care that when we provide the food, that there is this special food for these children.
Do you have a response mechanism, call it a system if you will, that enables you to partner with other donor agencies just so that this troubling 49,000 figure that you have come up with can be better managed and it possibly gets no one to die?
No, I thank you very much. It's completely true. UNICEF works very closely with the government. We work through the government, and we're not the only one. First of all, we are receiving support from many donors, the Americans, the British, the Japanese, as you mentioned earlier. Many other donors are supporting our efforts. And we're also working very closely with non-governmental organizations to try to reach as many children that are in need of the support. What's actually being done is we're having community mobilizers who go from house to house, from door to door, from hut to hut, from shelter to shelter. And they measure the child, they measure the malnutrition status, the nutritional status of the child. And if the child is severely malnourished, the child is referred to a health center to receive this very specialized treatment. So what we really need is we need more health workers. We need more community mobilizers and more health workers to provide these services. We need more of this specialized treatment for these children. But in particular also we need more food aid and more nutritious food as part of the food aid package. Food special for very young children, but for instance also for pregnant or breastfeeding mothers who also need very specialized food.
In what form do the aid come in when they come from your donor agencies who you're partnering with, of course? What form do these aids come? We hear of so much millions of dollars being spent in the Nigeria's northeast, but it seems that as much as you spend, so little is being achieved.
The UNICEF in particular, we're focusing mainly on the treatment of the very severely malnourished children, and we receive funding from the donors that we use to buy this very specialized product, which is a small sachet. It's about this size. It's a plastic sachet, and the food is a mixture of groundnuts, milk powder, cooking oil, micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, and it's in a kind of a thick paste. And it's a very sterile product, so that there are no bacteria which could actually make the child's nutritional status and health status worse. And this sachet is being given to the children. And at the moment we're about, not just UNICEF, but with government and all other partners, we are able to reach about 7,000 severely malnourished children in Borno per month, which sounds like many, but according to our estimates, we need to reach at least 20,000 of these children that are severely malnourished to be able to reach all of those that are in need of the support. So there's quite a bit of work has been done, but we're only at about 1/3 of where we need to be.
Have you recorded any deaths so far? I mean, the numbers are really staggering, 49,000 expected to die by the end of this year.
Yeah, correct. Well, as UNICEF, we do not stay completely on track of all the deaths that are that are occurring, but we know about quite a few cases where actually the support that came to the children was coming too late. We particularly talk about the newly opening areas of Borno, places like Monguno, Bama, Digwa, where of course the support only was reaching earlier this year. There's still many places in Borno where humanitarian workers, but also the government hasn't been able to provide routine health service and treatment of malnutrition at all. And as UNICEF, we're very, very concerned about the situation of the women and children in these areas that are still inaccessible because of the security situation.
How much composition of the food can you source locally in the northeast, do you suppose?
Yeah, well, a lot of the food aid, the normal food aid that is required to prevent malnutrition, a lot of this food can actually be bought locally. There are a lot of producers in Nigeria that produce very good nutritious food, besides, of course, the rice and the beans, but also other mixtures of food which would be more suitable. The very specialized food, the ready-to-use therapeutic food, there's now one company in Lagos that very recently started producing this product, which is a very good, so that it's in the very near future we can start procuring it also locally. And yeah, otherwise we also bring some of this food, we also have to bring it from outside of the country to meet the needs that are there.
So what for you is the way forward in this situation?
Okay, I think that to summarize, I think we need three major things. One, we need to have more food aid and more nutritious food as part of the food aid. Nutritious food for the pregnant women, the breastfeeding women, and for the very young children. Two, we need to find these children that are severely malnourished. These children are often not brought to the clinic themselves. So what we need to do is we need to go from door to door, from house to house, and we have to measure the nutritional status of all these children. And the children that are severely malnourished need to be brought to the treatment program. Almost every child that is being found in time can be treated. Every severely malnourished child can be treated. And the third one is we need more health workers, we need more community mobilizers. Community mobilizers who do the screening at community level, but also health workers who in all the health facilities provide these very important health and nutrition services so that all the children that are being brought to the clinic can receive the treatment as quick and as good as possible.
I want to thank you so much indeed, the Chief of Nutrition Section of UNICEF, Mr. Arjan Dewat, for talking to us here on the news at 10. And in part 2, after the news at 10, after the break rather, FCT authorities raise alarm over activities of vandals in the nation's capital. That's in a moment. Join us again.